Welcome to the news on Enyimba TV. We are reaching you from the commercial city of Aba. First, the headlines. Late President General of Ohanese Ndigbo, Emmanuel Iwanyango for burial, November 1. Labour Party threatens to sanction Governor Otti over alleged insubordination. President Tinubu moves to boost Nigeria's economy with a visit to China in September. Thanks for joining us on the news at this time. I am Mary Ihejirika. Now the news in detail. The crisis rocking the Labour Party is deepened as the leadership of the party has warned Abia State Governor Dr. Alex Otti to focus on governance and cease interfering in the administration of the party. The national chairman of the Labour Party, Julius Abure, issued the warning at a press conference held in Abuja. His anger stemmed from the recent meeting with Governor Otti, where he stated his intention to convene a National Executive Committee meeting on August 31 to dissolve the National Executive Council, State Executive Council, Local Government Executive Council, and Ward Executive Council on the purported grounds that their tenure had expired. He announced to journalists that the National Working Committee of the party has established a disciplinary committee to henceforth sanction any erring members or bigwigs who make decisions that could undermine the party. Meanwhile, despite the threat by Labour Party against Governor Alex Otti calling for the conduct of the party's National Executive Committee meeting to set up a caretaker committee, the governor has announced an expanded stakeholders meeting to be held on September 4 at the Banquet Hall, Government House, Umuahia. Invited stakeholders include representatives from the Nigeria Labour Congress and Trade Union Congress, the vice presidential candidate of the 2023 election, the deputy governor of Abia State, 7 and former senators, members of the House of Representatives and the state houses of assembly. Additionally, members of the Abure-led National Working Committee, gubernatorial candidates and former gubernatorial candidates representing the 6 geopolitical zones have been invited. The press statement for the meeting was jointly signed by the governor and the presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the last election, Peter Obi. Anambra State Governor Professor Chukwuma Soludo has described a report by Daily Trust newspapers that his government plans to borrow 245 billion naira to finance the 2024 budget as fake news. He made the revelation while responding to questions by journalists after a state broadcast to mark the 33rd anniversary of the creation of Anambra State. He stayed for close to 3 years of his being governor. He had not borrowed a dime. He said his administration cannot borrow 245 billion naira while running a deficit of 121 billion naira for the 2024 appropriation. President Bola Tinubu will hold bilateral talks with Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping at the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation Summit between September 4 and 6, 2024. Presidential spokesman Ajirin Galali told State House correspondent that he would discuss regional peace and security. President Tinubu will visit China to represent the West African bloc ECOWAS at the summit. The Nigerian president is the chairman of the Authority of Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, heads of state and government. The planned meeting between President Tinubu and one of the world's most powerful presidents will take place amid a flurry of seizures of Nigerian assets by a Chinese firm, Zhongshan Fucheng Industrial Investment Company Limited. Chief of Staff to President Femi Gbajabiamila says there is no timeline yet for the implementation of the Steve Orasanye's report. He said this during an interview after an official visit to the headquarters of the Nigeria Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, NEITI, in Abuja. Gbajabiamila, a former Speaker of the House of Representatives who debunked claims of the report being stored, said the federal government is working out all necessary modalities to ensure a smooth run of the policy when implemented. As part of efforts to mitigate the spread of mpox, the United States Agency for International Development, USAID, has donated 10,000 vaccines to Nigeria. Speaking to journalists at the official handover, the Director General of the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, NHPCDA, Muyi Aina, said the distribution of the vaccine will commence immediately and priority will be given to states with the highest cases and frontline workers. He thanked the U.S. government for the support and pledge to make judicious use of the vaccines, which he said will help save lives and curb the spread of monkeypox across Nigeria. Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, said a total of 39 confirmed cases and 0 deaths from mpox have been recorded across 33 states and the Federal Capital Territory. Federal government and the state have raised 100 billion naira for the procurement of prepared electricity meters. Minister of Power Adebayo Adelabu, who disclosed this while addressing broadcasters in Ibadan, said this is under the Presidential Meter Initiative program. According to him, President Bola Tinubu's administration has been making efforts to close the meter gap in Nigeria, adopting various initiatives. He mentioned that many customers are not paying their bills because they believe they are being cheated by the power distribution companies through estimated billing, stressing that metering would ensure transparency. Nigeria Army has vowed not to allow itself to be used by certain interest groups to undermine democratic governance in the country. Chief of Army Staff Lieutenant General Tarid Labaja stated this in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State, during the opening ceremony of the Chief of Army Staff Combined Second and Third Quarters Conference 2024 held at the Akwa Ibom State Council of Chiefs Hall. According to him, such calls came from young Nigerians who never experienced the era of Nigeria's extensive military rule and the concerted struggle by heroes and heroines of the current democratic dispensation to get the nation on its current path. Nigeria Inter-Religious Council, NIREC, has asked the federal government to end the alarming and disheartening spate of killings, kidnapping, and banditry recorded in the country in the last week. The entire Religious Council is under the leadership of the President of the Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN, Daniel Oko, and the Sultan of Sokoto, who doubles as the President General of the Nigerian Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs, NSCIA, Said Abubakar. The council said it is greatly perturbed over the present exponential increase in the level of insecurity in the country. The council therefore called on the government and security agencies to intensify their efforts to eradicate these menaces so that citizens can go about their normal businesses without fear or apprehension. Chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Ola Olukayate, has asked the National Assembly to enact a law which supports the whistleblower policy of the government. Olukayate made this call at the Nigerian Bar Association NBA conference in Lagos. He noted that once the law is enacted, it will make it mandatory for law enforcement agencies to protect the whistleblowers. The EFCC chairman also called on lawyers across the country to always observe due diligence in their practices. Late President General of Ohanese Ndigbo, Iwaanya, is set to be buried on the 1st of November 2024. The National Burial Committee announced this in Abuja shortly after its constitution by the governor of Imo State, Hope Uzodinma. Governor Uzodinma said the broad-based committee was jointly set up by the 5 governors of the Southeast as a crucial step towards ensuring a befitting burial for the late Iwaanya. Senator Ben Obi, who is the chairman of the committee, noted that the late Iwaanya was a nationalist and a global citizen whose commitment to the progress of Ndigbo was unparalleled. You're watching Enyimba TV News. After the short break, the news continues with foreign, business, and sports update. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back and thanks for staying tuned. Now the news continues. U.S. prosecutors have issued new charges against former President Donald Trump for his alleged attempts to interfere in the 2020 election after he lost to Joe Biden. They are in response to a U.S. Supreme Court ruling last month that said presidents enjoy broad immunity from criminal prosecution for official acts while in office. The reverse indictment lays out the same four criminal courts against Trump, but they not relate to this status as a political candidate rather than a sitting president. Trump has denied the election interference allegations, though he has maintained his claim without evidence that there was widespread voter fraud in the 2020 election. And on business, South Africa billionaire and chairman of the Richmond, a luxury goods conglomerate, Johan Rupert, has overtaken Aliko Dangote, chairman of Dangote Industries Limited, as Africa's richest person. According to the latest data from the Bloomberg Billionaires Index, Rupert's net worth has surged to $14.3 billion, overtaking Dangote, whose fortune has declined to $13.4 billion. The data shows that Rupert's wealth has increased by $1.87 billion year to date, while Dangote's fortune has declined by $1.69 billion. Nikki Obehime, another South African billionaire, occupied the third place with $11.3 billion net worth. The downturn in Dangote's net worth is largely attributed to Nigeria's challenging macroeconomic environment, where his conglomerate primarily operates. The Dangote Group has faced production delays and other industrial issues at its refinery, compounded by the steep depreciation of the naira. Referees in the Nigeria Premier Football League will smite to the bank in the 2024-2025 season, which begins on Saturday following the decision of the MPFL board to raise their pay by 50%, aside from being provided with the newly acquired communications gadgets. This is in fulfillment of the promise of the league board chairman Benga Elebeleye at the end of last season. President of the Nigeria Referees Association, Sani Zubairu, confirmed that the referees are already in training ahead of the commencement of the league on Saturday. In another development, New Al Kholoud FC of Saudi defender William Troost Ekong is back in the national team for the first time since the 2023 AFCON in Ivory Coast, as well as Nottingham Forest duo Muyi Aina and Taiwo Awoniyi and unsettled Napoli striker Victor Osimhen. They were among the 23 players listed by the Nigeria Football Federation for the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations qualifying fixtures against Benin Republic and Rwanda on September 7 and September 10. The year's AFCON's player of the tournament, Troost Ekong, is joined in defense by Bright Osai Samuel, Bruno Onyemachi, Oluwa Semilogo Ajayi, Calvin Bassi, Aino, and Olise Nda of Orlando Pirates, who make a return to the team as well. Leicester City midfielders Wilfred Ndidi, Rafael Onyedika, Al Hassan Yusuf, Abdullahi, Lazio's Fisayo Dele Bashiru, Frank Onyeka, and Alex Iwobi are the midfielders invited for the games. In attack, Osimhen and Awoniyi are joined by AC Milan forward Samuel Chukwueze, new Sevilla man Kelechi Iheanacho, Victor Boniface, Moses Simon, and Ademola Lookman. With this sponsor, we'll wrap up this edition of news on Enyimba TV at this time. But before we go, here is a recap of the top stories. Late President General Ohanaeze Ndigbo Emmanuel Iwuanyanwu for burial November 1. Labour Party threatens to sanction Governor Otti over alleged insubordination. President Tinubu moves to boost Nigeria's economy with visit to China in September. That's our package of news for now. Please join us for more updates in our subsequent bulletins. Meanwhile, don't forget to subscribe to this channel on YouTube. Click on the notification bell to receive alerts when new videos are uploaded. Thank you for watching. On behalf of the production team, I am Mary Ihejirika saying do have yourself a wonderful day.